Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hello, friend. I am so excited to have a new best friend with me today. Mike is here with us, and he's got a message for us about how to achieve our goals. Now, if you're like me, I know you are, you set goals every day. Every day you have something that you're planning on doing. You have your today goals, my this week goals, my monthly goals. But do you always achieve them? I sometimes move them, but I still get them done. But Mike's going to help us figure out how to make sure we achieve the goals we're setting. So all the information about Mike is in the show notes, and everything that we talk about, links and everything are right there in the show notes for you. So Mike, take it away and teach me how to make sure I reach my goals.
Hey, thank you so much for having me and letting me be here and visit with you for a little bit. It's a lot of fun. It's a passion of mine. Now, typically tell you a little bit of my background, just real briefly, because who wants to know all about me, right? This is about you and your listeners, and that's who I really want to speak to. So, a little bit about me is I've been working with individuals since 2001, helping them to literally achieve their goals. And one question that comes up often is like, how in the world did you get started? What triggered that? And it's really kind of a funny story. I'll give you the short version. But my mom was a smoker growing up back in the 80s. I like to tell people, I hope I don't look like I was growing up in the 80s. I hope I look younger than that. But I was. And like many people, she tried everything to quit smoking. And it seemed like nothing would work. It would work for a short period of time. And then all of a sudden, she'd go back to smoking. And one day, fast forward, I'm in college. And my psychology professor asked me, he says, Micah, over Christmas break, I want the entire class actually go find somebody and interview them, somebody that achieved a goal or overcome something. And I thought, gosh, I grew up in a very small town. I mean, very small. There's not that many people to talk to. To give you a reference, I graduated fourth in my class and was still in the bottom half. Okay. I mean, it was a small town.
I love it.
And so about 750 people in the town. But anyways, as I was thinking, I thought, my mom doesn't smoke anymore. That was the first time I ever realized that she had quit smoking because she'd done it off and on so many times. And when I interviewed her and she started telling me a little bit about it, she said, basically one day I said, I'm done. It was my father had made a bet with her that she couldn't do it. And she said, I was done. Nothing else worked. And so when I returned back to college, I started studying everything I could in psychology, neurolinguistics programming, hypnosis, leadership, you name it. I was studying it. And it just kind of took off from there. I started helping people quit smoking. I transitioned to weight management. And next thing you know, people were coming to me for all kinds of different things, but it was all for achieving a goal. And I thought, after many years of doing this, I realized there's a certain process that people do in order to achieve their goals. And so I do work predominantly with women. I think women are more open to the idea of having help. I think men sometimes they want to do it on their own. They want to do it the hard way. And so it fits like a glove for me. And I really, really enjoy what I do.
I love the way you framed this because I meet my goals. I got a goal to lose 5 pounds. I meet it.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean I keep it off.
Right.
And that's the same with this smoking. I quit smoking,
Mhm.
but I didn't. And pretend like I did. I quit smoking. And, 3 months later, I did quit, but something triggers that response. Or for me, it's, oh, I can eat sugar again.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I can put that. I'm feeling so good. I forgot what bad felt like. And so it creeps back into my life. And then I have to find the power to start over again. And so This sounds like more like sustaining that commitment to yourself, not just reaching it, but keeping it. And that is a different concept. So I want to hear about this. Help me get back off sugar that I started eating in December.
Yeah. So, you bring up a valid point. So, what I had developed, I'm going to backtrack just for a second,
Go
just kind of
for
give you
it.
an overview here. So, what I developed, there's 4 things that people not only that reach their goals, because I'm weird. I think reaching your goal and achieving your goal are 2 different things. I know that sounds weird, but some people they go up and they reach their goal. They quit smoking for 2 or 3 months, but they really don't achieve it. They're not long-term non-smokers. Do you understand what I'm saying? They
The
lose the weight for a
desire
little
still
bit.
is there. They
It's still
still
there.
think about it every day. It's not
Yes,
gone. Yeah.
and we backtrack some. And so what I realized there's 4 things that everybody does in order to really achieve their goals. It's common. Now there could be other things too, but there's 4 that's always in common. And I call this the GOAT method. It sounds weird. I remember back in the 90s, the GOAT was the greatest of all time, and Michael Jordan, because I love basketball. And so I really wanted to use this acronym, if you will, and so it stands for, number one, you've got to get specific. Now, if you're familiar with goal setting or ever have been to any type of a leadership or development type of a personal development type of seminar, they talk about SMART goals, setting SMART goals. I love SMART goals. So do not get me wrong. I use them. But in my book, it's called Beyond SMART because just setting your goal, there's a huge difference in setting a goal and achieving your goal. And we have to understand that. So the G stands for get specific. There's 6 things, not just one, not just your goal, but there's 6 things you've got to get specific on in order to achieve your goal. Then we go into the O, which is being open-minded. And that's what I'm going to visit with you about as far as, sometimes we backtrack in our mindset. Then the A stands for the action that we've got to take. And then the last one, the T, and this is really important too, is the way we talk, not only to others, but the way we talk to ourselves. You see, I think a lot of people, we forget sometimes that the one person that we're around literally 24/7 is ourselves. And how do we talk to ourselves 90% of the time? It's really not that good. I mean, I wouldn't talk to my worst enemy the way that I talk to myself half the time. And yet we're very impressionable and we're just reinforcing that negative behavior. So to give you an example, I was working with a lady on weight loss or weight management is a way I would rather say that. And she lost a ton of weight. I forget how much now. This was several years ago. And I was talking to her several months after that. And she says, "Hey, I've got a problem." And I said, "Well, what's the problem? I mean, you look great. You seem like you're more active. What's the problem?" And she said, "Well, I told my husband we're going to have to buy a bigger house." And I said, "Why are you going to have to buy a bigger house?" And she said, "I don't have enough room in my closet." I said, "For what?" She said, "Listen, ever since I worked with you, it took about a month before she started seeing the difference." She said, "I had to go buy a whole new wardrobe." And I asked her, I said, "Well, what's the problem?" She said, "Well, I don't have any more room." And I said, "Well, why are you running out of room?" She said, "Well, because I'm having to add more clothes." But you see what she was doing? She was keeping her old clothes. That told me immediately she hasn't changed her mindset. She thought, if I gain this weight back, I'm going to keep these. Instead of saying, no, this is who I am now, she still had that doubt in her mind, if I gain that weight back. And this is what keeps a lot of people from reaching and achieving their goals long term instead of owning it. I can tell you exactly how much I weigh right now. I do not have clothes in my closet that are going to fit me if I'm 10 pounds lighter or 10 pounds heavier, because this is who I am right now. And so it's a matter of changing our mindset and owning that who we are.
And I like to call it health management. I don't care how much you weigh. I want to know you feel healthy, you speak to yourself in a healthy way, and you do what's good for you. And so, yeah, I agree with you. When someone says weight loss, it just turns my brain to the off switch. Like you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Yes.
And so I love that you've adjusted that to management.
Yes.
That's amazing. But sometimes it's, yeah, teach me how to turn off that. I did take a whole bunch of clothes out the door, but they did sit in my bedroom in garbage cans for 6 months
Yeah.
before I dared take them out the door.
Right.
So I get what she's saying is like,
Sure.
well, in my head, I thought I can sew these, I can modify these, I
Mhm.
can make these work.
Mhm.
Will I? No.
Probably not.
So now they're at the DI.
Right. Yeah, well, and I'll give you another example on smoking, actually. And this is a really good one, too. Say there's two people and they both decide they're going to quit smoking. Okay. And so, but Friday night comes along and they have a big company party or they're going out with the boys or girls, whomever, doesn't matter. And as they're there, somebody offers both of them a cigarette. The first person says, "Oh, no, thank you. I'm trying to quit." Okay. Good for them. That's really good. They're resisting it. I'm trying to quit. But the second person says this, "No, I'm a non-smoker." Do you see the difference in their mindset? One of them says, "I'm attempting this. I'm trying this, but this isn't who I am yet." They haven't accepted that. The second person said, "No, no, no, no. This is who I am." They've embraced this new person that they are. They are a non-smoker. And so the same thing happens. And a lot of this goes into the way we talk to ourselves. We have a conscious and a subconscious. Some people call it an unconscious, tomato, tomato, right? But it's the way that we talk to ourselves that reinforces it. And I can give numbers on this, out of all the words and thoughts that we have in a day. Some studies will say that we have 6,000 thoughts a day. Others will suggest 60,000 thoughts a day. Either way, doesn't matter. We have a bunch, okay? But out of those, psychology has actually proven now that 80% of those thoughts are negative. So we're telling ourselves we can't do something. We're not worth this. We're not. I mean, how many of you right now can relate to that, right? I mean, this is real talk. This is what we do to ourselves. But here's what's really sad. 90% of the 80% negative words are repeated the next day. So what that says is we're repeating a lot of the same negative patterns day in and day out. And then when we verbalize it, it even intensifies even more. It takes 10 praises to cancel out one negative thought. So you got to tell yourself you're doing good 10 times to ever one time you say something bad about yourself. And so if this 80-20 rule applies, can we understand why we're not achieving our goals? We're literally on a subconscious level programming ourselves to not achieve that goal over and over.
I'm right with you, Mike, on this one, because that's what my Monday episodes are all about. It's the challenge of how we think and respond and just making small changes. And one of them is I choose instead of I have to,
Yes.
or I can't. So as somebody brings the donuts into the office, do you have to not have one because you're on a diet? Do you not want them because it's like, what is the words that you are telling yourself? And I had to make a conscious decision to start articulating it out loud. And then so to remind myself, it's like, I'm choosing. I choose my health over that donut. I choose who I want to be over, thank you for the nice gesture. I'm not participating. You can bring me a cigarette. I will never have said yes. So why do sometimes I say yes to a donut? Because I'm a donut eater. No.
Yes.
I choose not to be a donut eater.
Yes. No. Okay. So, and I hate to do this.
Go for it.
You mentioned donuts, and I've got a great story that goes along with donuts.
Let's do it.
So I'm actually an ex-cop, 8 years. And it is true. We love donuts. It is true. But beside that, I had a lady come to me and she wanted to lose weight. And at the time, I was studying a lot of language patterns and how they affect us. I'm not going to share something with somebody or recommend something unless I've personally witnessed it or experienced it myself. I'm just not going to do it. So she comes into my office and I said, "Okay, I've got a question for you. What is your Achilles heel? What's keeping you from achieving your goal? If we could change one thing, what would that be?" And she looked at me, she said, "Mike, I love donuts." She said, oh my gosh, they're the best thing ever. She said, matter of fact, the church that we go to, they serve us donuts. She said, that's why one reason we go there. I mean, everything else too, but she was convinced that Moses walking around in the desert eating manna was donuts. Okay. I mean, she loves donuts. And I said, okay, this is what I want you to do. And I said, I'm not going to do anything else with you. We're just going to work on this one thing. And it's going to take a little while, but I want you to do it. Anytime you think about a donut, every time you see a commercial with a donut, an advertisement of any sort, billboard, doesn't matter. I want you to tell yourself you hate donuts. You despise donuts. You can't stand donuts. And I said, now here's the thing. Your subconscious mind is going to say, hey, you're lying to yourself. You love donuts, but keep just reinforcing, I don't like them. I don't want them. Can't stand them. They're bad for me. Over and over and over. If you eat a donut, and you may do that in this next month or two, that's okay. As you're eating it, you remind yourself how much you hate that donut and how bad it tastes over and over and over. Okay. So she goes off. A month goes by and I call her up. How's everything going? And she said, I'm not going to lie to you. The first week was really tough. It has gotten easier. Now, I would still love to have a donut, but all honesty, it's not that difficult to resist it now after 1 month. So I said, okay, keep doing it. So month 2 goes by. I said, how's it going? She said, honestly, I could go the rest of my life and never eat another donut. Like I don't know why, but this is working. Like I really don't have any desire to eat a donut ever again. Before month 3 had gotten there, I got a phone call from her husband. He says, Mike, we got to do some work here. I said, what? He goes, I was packing my son's lunch to go to school, and I was packing his breakfast, and my wife took the donut out of his lunchbox and threw all the donuts in the house away. He's like, she won't let us have donuts in the house now. And we got a good kick out of it. So I got her on the phone, and she said, no. She said, I know how bad they are for us. I can't stand them. She goes, even smelling it makes me nauseous now. All because she changed a language pattern. That's how powerful this is. And especially with most of us, we always put others first, don't we? I mean, how many can relate to that? We put others first. And it goes back to the whole airplane model. You got to put the mask on yourself, the oxygen mask on yourself before you can give it to somebody else. You've got to take care of others, sure. But if you don't take care of yourself first, you can never give them what they truly need. I know a lot of people that I talk to are mothers. And of course, they're wanting to give. If you ask any mother this, I think any of them would agree. They want to give 100% for their kids. They want to give the best of the best they can.
Yep.
But the problem is, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not giving yourself permission to be took care of and pampered yourself, you can't give 100%. It's impossible. You've got to take care of yourself, because the only time you can give 100% or your best is when you're at your best. You can't pour from an empty cup. And so it's so important to take care of yourself.
Well, and I love the tucking yourself, and it's not meant to tuck yourself into not liking something, but it is a continual program of, this isn't something that I choose. This
Sure.
isn't something that is for me. The cool thing is, when you do that, you don't have to change others. If somebody else likes donuts, it's okay.
Sure.
But I am one of those persons that's like the lady you just talked about. When I'm done with it, it's out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than those clothes.
Right.
But they are gone now. But it took a long time to finally just say, they're now just in the way, instead of, I might need them.
Right. No. Exactly. And that was an extreme example. Of course, I was learning it, really wanted to hit it home, but you're exactly right. Of course, we don't want to say we hate things typically, and it's a choice. It's not something we have to do. Completely 100% agree with you. That was just that example, but it's just the power of the thoughts and the things that we tell ourselves day in and day out.
Our minds are amazing.
Incredible.
And they are so powerful that it kind of makes, it's magical.
It really is.
I don't know how else to explain it, but when you speak to yourself kindly, you start being more kind to other people. And it just happens when you can control your thoughts to you, it's easier to control your thoughts and your speech to others or with others. And so I love that reminder that uh, there's a bunch of memes out there that support witchcraft is like your words are your spells.
Right.
So and it's like you don't need to go that far.
Right.
Your words are
Right.
magical and they do come true.
Yes.
Let me go back. When my husband hears this episode, she's going to be. But back when we first got married, he was very good at pointing out my flaws or things that he wasn't as impressed with as other areas. And I told him one day, I said, I don't care. I'd rather you just lie to me. I said, you tell me, like, oh, this is the best meal ever. And I'll probably try harder to cook a good meal than if it's not good. And he says, you really want me to lie to you? And I go, I want you to say the words where I feel empowered. And if it takes a lie, yes.
You know?
And, I don't want to tell other people to lie to people,
Right.
but you don't have to point out all the flaws. You don't have, and this is to you too, not just your friends,
Yes.
but point out the good.
Yes.
Let them flourish in the things that you like about them. They don't need to worry about the others. And do the same to you.
Yes.
Quit telling yourself, oh man, I'm such a klutz. No, I fell down this one time and I'm up and going. I'm back on my feet. I can do this. You do not have to think. And, you tell me if you do this. I'll drop something and then probably drop 3 or 4 more things. And it's like, okay, I don't drop things, Laura Jane, remember, we know how to hold on to things. And then I quit dropping them. But it's like until I step back and like at that first one just says, that thought you're a klutz, why are
Right.
you doing this? And until I consciously say no, I
Right.
keep dropping stuff.
Yes.
And when I
Yes.
finally change the words, it goes away.
Mhm.
And so I can see how doing that in the long term, that I am now not going to like donuts evermore.
Right.
I'm going to tell myself every time I see one, I don't like it.
Mhm.
And I'm going to create a list of the real things that today I think I like,
Mhm.
but tomorrow I'm no longer going to like. But
Sure.
that is my goal from what you've said.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. And it is, it's so important that we acknowledge it too, like you said, because we stay in that mindset, the things are going to continue to happen. It's like a downward spiral. A local team where my daughter goes to school at, actually, and I'm going to pick her up when we're off here. They just went to state for the first time, the girls basketball team. And so there were several of them that I was working with. And what do you think happens to an athlete if they're, say, in basketball, that we use this example, and they shoot and they miss 2 or 3 shots? They're
They miss
probably
the rest of the game until they
yeah,
get their head back in the game.
exactly, exactly. So what I did with them, I say, you've got to acknowledge it, sure, but a picture like a chalkboard in front of you. We used to have chalkboards. They have smart boards now. We used to have chalkboards. And I said, up in the top right-hand corner, just it's like you see that mistake, okay? And you can just write miss shot or whatever's there, just picture it there. And when you miss that shot, just take your hand and just wipe it away. I said, and physically do this. So you go through there, you miss a shot, as soon as it misses, just wipe it away. It takes no time, just wipe it away. We don't need to think about it right now. We'll think about it after the game and see what we can do better, but you just got to wipe it away. So they're acknowledging it, but they're not letting it affect them. And everything improved when they started doing that. And so, yes, we get in ruts sometimes. We got to acknowledge it, but like you said, we've got to trigger it and flip that, because that's not who we are. There's so many seconds in a day, and I forget the exact number. I wish I had it here. And if something bad happens and you get cheated out of 10 or 15 seconds, something bad, or somebody says something bad, you shouldn't let that ruin the rest of your day. I mean, why would you do that? If that was money and you lost $10, are you going to throw, I forget what, 8,000 and something?
Right.
Are you going to throw that in the trash? No, no. That's just one incident. And so it is so important. So, so important.
I'm so with you. And I'm like in my brain, just like going, this is so perfect. We kind of went from achieving our goals, which is exactly what we're still talking about, but it doesn't sound like it.
No.
It's like, if I change the way I talk to myself
Mhm.
and how I respond to my current behavior that I'm trying to change, and I change the words I use, that transition from being, I want this to, I no longer desire that, changes automatically. And all you had to do, I know that sounded really simple, was change the way you thought about it. And
Yeah.
when you think it in your, and I do this, wait, that was limiting. Start over.
Mhm.
And I reword it and I find a way that it's not going to set that. Here's one for you. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I just don't know if I
Mm.
can go on another minute.
Mhm.
Why not change that to right now? I'm feeling a little exhausted and I'm going to do what I need to do to mend that exhaustion so I'm back on my feet. So you now giving yourself that opportunity to not be tired. But
Right.
when you have to say, I'm tired, guess what? Your magic is in place and you will be tired longer than you would have had to been. And so what you're saying is, even though we kind of started talking about our talk, is exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and this is the missing piece, if you will. In my opinion, people don't talk about this when it comes to achieving your goals. And I'll go back to a sports analogy for you. If you talk to any athlete or any coach, what are they going to tell you? They're going to say, hey, sports is 90% mental and 10% physical. Okay. I actually believe that, or at least pretty highly on that. But if that's the case and people truly believe that, we got to ask ourselves, why do they spend almost 100% of their time on the physical side of it? I mean, think about it. Take basketball. What do? They go practice their free throws over and over and over, shoot and make 100 a day before you go home. We practice on the physical, but very seldom. Now, there are a few athletes, and usually they're your star athletes. They work on the mental side of it. And when you're trying to achieve a goal, and you're really setting yourself up for success, you've got to realize there's more than just setting a goal. We went to Orange Beach last year, and just saying I want to go to Orange Beach, yeah, that's my goal. That's where I want to go, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get there. There's other things I got to figure out in order to make that happen. Your goal's the same way. And so to me, the most important thing you can do is you've got to fix your mindset. You've got to get your mindset correct, because if it's not in the right place, you will set yourself up. You will self-sabotage. You don't mean to, but the fear of a failure is real. But also, what people don't realize, the fear of success is real too. And oftentimes we forget about that. What will this take away if I do achieve this goal? If I do make more money, I may have to move away, or it may take, spend more time in the office. And so there's this fear of success. And it all comes back to mindset and figuring out the proper way and the proper course to get there. And so it does. And that's why, again, I'll reference, in my book, I talk about it's beyond smart. Smart's great. That's a great analogy. It's a great starting point. You have to understand you've got to do more than just that in order to achieve your goal.
Yeah. And I with my clients, we work on bridge goals. Here's where I'm at. Here's
Mhm.
where I want to be. How do I build that? What are my steps to get there? It may be for the next for this next month, I'm going to say I hate donuts. You know, it's going to get you closer. In the one thing I like about setting bridge goals
Mhm.
is, if my life changes,
Mhm.
the destination can change. I don't still have to want to give up donuts.
Right.
I can change. Oh, now I want to give up dairy, or now I want to give up smoking, or whatever.
Right.
You didn't lose anything by setting a goal, making it a few runs along, and then choosing to focus on something else.
Sure.
You've progressed. You've made it. Now, where do we want to go now? And we just reassess. What's my destination today?
Right.
Here's my next step to get to that destination. What's my destination today? Because life changes. You lose a job. Oh, that goal's no good anymore. Now I'm going to find a new one. Or somebody passes away and you no longer have them in your life. Oh, that thing I was going to do with them is gone. So I don't like in my head locking in this desired state because life changes. So
Absolutely.
I like to identify the desired shape and then also
Sure.
give me the opportunity to adjust that. And it's all through our speaking. It's like,
Right.
I don't want you to feel like a failure if you ate a donut 10 months down the road, but I bet you're not going to like it.
Right. Well, and people, I think a lot of times when they set a goal, one thing that keeps them from even setting a goal is the whole fear of failure. What if I don't reach it? Then I'm going to be a failure. No, 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 no. Failure is an event. Okay. It's not a person. And really and truly, the only way we ever fail at anything is when we stop. That's the only time. And there's nothing wrong with adjusting your goal. I mean, look at any great invention that's ever been created, ever. Did they get it right the first time? No. They made little adjustments. I mean, we got smartphones. We got these smartphones. They didn't get this right the first time, did they? How many times have they adjusted and tweaked their goal to make the best smartphone? So we're always adjusting, and we've got to stop putting pressure on ourselves in order to achieve it. Now, it's important we set ourselves up for success, absolutely. But you also, and I love what you said, if that doesn't come true, or if your life takes a different turn or a different course, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that because you are the captain of your own ship. You get to choose where it goes. And that's perfectly okay. But sometimes we're so hard on ourselves that we deem ourselves as a failure. And that's simply not the case.
Yes, we never, you might fail at something, but
Sure.
you are not a failure
Right.
because you are still trying. You are still
Yes.
putting in effort. You got up today. You
Right.
did something today. You have not failed.
Right. And, I kind of want to piggyback off that too, real quick. Sometimes, and this is going to be hard for you to hear, but sometimes failure is a blessing. You need that failure because it helps you. And here's what I mean. So during the whole COVID, a lot of my speaking engagements went away. We were not sitting in classrooms anymore and all that, et cetera. So I went and became a home inspector. I actually started two businesses. One of them was home inspection. I know nothing about construction, nothing. But I thought this sounds like a good job. Nobody's around, so I can go do what I need to do, and I'm not in close proximity of other people. So I do this. So I study all the materials, and you have to go take a proctored test. I kid you not, it was the hardest test I've ever took in my life. Over anything, college test. This was the hardest test, and I failed the test right off the bat. Cost $100 and something just to take the test. Of course, you have to go through a course. I forget it's 200 something hours, and I failed the test. And I thought, oh my gosh. But what was really neat was when I failed the test, guess what I learned? I learned that the reason I failed the test wasn't because I didn't know the information. I knew it like the back of my hand, but it came down to terminology. Because on the test, it was different terminology than what I'd been studying. Even though it was the same thing, you got four choices. If you don't see that word you're looking for, it throws everything off. But what was the true blessing? A month later, I go and I ace the test, no problem. But what helped me was when I would prepare my presentation to give to the client, my report basically, which would be 60, 70 pages. I knew how to adjust the terminology and speak in a way that they could understand what I was talking about. So yeah, I didn't pass the test, but to me that wasn't a failure. That was a huge blessing. Didn't seem like it at the time, but it was huge. And so sometimes, again, that goes back to mindset. We've got to understand that sometimes when we don't achieve something the way that we wanted to, it truly is because there's a better way, or there's a lesson to be learned that's going to help you later on down the road. And I'm telling you, every time in my life, and maybe this isn't for everybody, it is in my life. Every time something bad has happened, loss of a job, whatever it is, and I've got all kinds of stories. We don't have near enough time for that. There has always been a bigger blessing on the other side of it because it pushed me outside of my comfort zone. Because what happens? We get comfortable. Well, when something drastic happens, we get pushed outside of that comfort zone, and something bigger and better, as always, and I kid you not, every single time has been better on the other side of that.
I'm right with you. I agree. And I don't call it failures, it's my lessons.
Yes.
I went through
Yes.
another learning process, and now I know this because I don't want to put that I failed. I learned how to do something differently through this process.
Right.
And so I am right with you. I like to change things just enough where I feel like I'm not being held back. What is that one word or that one feeling I can change to move forward to the next process? But Mike, we are out of time.
Wow, that went by so fast.
I feel like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm so loving talking to you. But I
Gosh.
really kind of thought maybe let's go through your GOAT one more time and talk about what it is, these 4 words that GOAT stands for you, and how they're going to help our friend that's here with us.
Yes. So, what I want to share is with GOAT, there's actually 6 things under just the G. And I'm going to run through these extremely fast. But then I want to leave our friend with something special, if that's okay, when I'm done with this. If that's okay,
Yes.
it'll take just a minute, something that I really think will help them out. So let's go through the GOAT. So get specific. And there's 6 things that you have to be specific on. Number 1, what is your goal? You've got to be specific, not general, but very specific. You've also got to know your why. Why is this goal important to you? I've got a whole seminar just on that. The third thing is skills and knowledge. What skills and knowledge do you need to acquire or learn in order to achieve this goal? And as a side note, if you don't think you need any skills and knowledge to further advance yourself to achieve it, your goal's not near high enough. Okay. We should always be learning. I'm just saying that. 4, I think we're at 4. People. The people in your life, you are the average of the 5 closest people in your life. And not everybody has the same mindset as we do. And what this means, you don't have to get rid of people. Don't do that. But if you have a certain particular goal, your best friend may not have that same goal. And when you're excited and you tell them about it, they may tell you how stupid it is, but they don't have the same passion that you do. So it's important we surround ourselves with people that's going to push us. It doesn't mean we're cutting anybody else out, but we have to have the same type of mentality when it comes to goal achievement. Another thing, and probably the least talked about when it comes to goal setting, because it's the least fun, what obstacles are you going to face? You've got to be specific. What hurdles are you going to have to cross when, if are you going to have a luncheon at work? Do you even get to take a lunch? How about smoke breaks, or when you go out with the friends? What obstacles are you going to find along the way? And make a plan of how you're going to deal with that. But it's always better to plan up front. And then lastly, just on the G, is what actions do you need to take? Now, this is different than skills and knowledge, but what actions would actually lead you to achieving your goal? Then we're just going to focus on a few later on. The O stands for open-minded. You've got to be open-minded. We have to change our mindset. And that's what we spent a lot of the time here today talking about is mindset. So open-minded. The A is action. We're going to look back at the actions we talked about under G, and we're just going to hone in on 1 or 2 of those that would give us the most ROI or return on our investment. And then the T is the way we talk to ourselves. And this is what I want to hone in for our friends today. Give yourself grace when you're talking to yourself. Be your best friend, not your worst enemy. So whatever happens, ask yourself, how would you, if your best friend come up and said, hey, this happened to me, what would you tell them? Would you tell them, oh, you're stupid, suck it up, you can do it? Or would you say, hey, it's okay, champ, you got this. It's no big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It changes the way we deal with it and how we can show love. And Caroline Leaf has a great book. It's called Switch on Your Brain. Talks a lot about this. And, start talking to yourself like you're your best friend. Now, nobody else has to know what you're telling yourself. That's okay. You don't want inside my head because I am my biggest fan. I'm telling you, I like to tell myself how awesome I am all the time, but nobody else needs to hear that. They think I'm very arrogant. But if I had to leave our friend with one nugget that they can really take away, summarize everything, my life's work basically, when it comes to achieving a goal, I can summarize it really in 3 words. Enjoy the ride. If you can learn to enjoy the process, whatever that is, then achieving your goal, it's going to happen regardless. It's going to happen automatically. So a lot of people, they don't understand, but you don't have to go jogging if you're wanting to lose weight. Maybe you like to ballroom dance like I do. I love to ballroom dance. But if you can learn to enjoy the process, nobody gets on a roller coaster for the end of the ride. That's the destination it's going. Why do they ride a roller coaster? Because of the ride itself. They enjoy the ride. If you can learn to enjoy the ride, enjoy the process, then reaching your goal will be inevitable.
I love that roller coaster analogy. That is like so perfect. Yeah. Who gets on it for the end? And our lives are a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
so much, Mike.
Thank you.
I have really enjoyed our time. We need to have you back one of these days, right?
Please do. Please do. Yes. I love it. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak not only with you, but with our other friends here. It truly is a blessing. My mission in life, I think it was Mark Twain that said, the 2 most important days in somebody's life is the day they were born and the day they find out why. And my why is I want to help people achieve their goals. It's my passion.
It's funny how much happy you are when you do your why.
Yes.
When you do you don't have to do anybody else. Just do you.
Exactly.
So thank you. Friend, Mike and I are not medical or mental professionals. We are here for entertainment purposes. People have struggled. We've done it. We've been there. And just want to support you so you don't have to struggle also. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.